Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School. And I just wanted to share with you this new deck that I'm going to be working with this month. And I've had it, I got it before, maybe in December, November, somewhere around there. I backed this deck on Kickstarter, and I kind of just saw a few images. I don't know how I came across it. And then I was just like, immediately taken by it. And I didn't realize how much. I haven't even begun to work with it yet. So tomorrow for February 1st will be the first time I actually just really play around with it and start using it in my own daily practice. As this is going to be the deck I'm going to be using for my daily readings for the month of February. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the deck. I'm going to show you the cards, give you my sort of first impressions, although this isn't my first impressions, so I should take that back. This will just be my impressions about the deck in general, since I've had it, been looking through it. I had read the guidebook. I don't know if I finished it. I think I got into the Major Arcana cards, and let's see. Yeah, because they're in the back. And this is also interesting. When publishers start off with the minor arcana and then put the major arcana in the back of the book. And it's a little interesting in that because it's almost like the creator is drawing our attention into the world first and the elements that are around us, and then bringing us to the more spiritual and higher sort of the archetypes of the tarot and the major arcana, or the bigger lessons, the bigger picture. So we're starting with the day-to-day sort of lessons and moving into the bigger picture, the big lessons. So I don't usually retain a lot of information from things that I read. It'll come up out of me as I'm actually putting it to use. It'll come back. But just if you ask me to tell you right now, boom, what was this deck about? I can't remember. But I can tell you one of the reasons I feel really guided to do this. Number one, I've just really felt a great connection with the author, who I've had some communications with, definitely. Throughout the process, I think I was like one of the early backers, because I think I saw it first before it was on Kickstarter, and then I was just like, let me know. And then I don't know, I probably was like 1, 2, 3, somewhere up in there, 4 or 5, in terms of backing the deck. But I really had no idea what I was really getting into. And one thing about this deck for me that I love, I think, in my initial first impressions, was the frequency of this deck. And there are certain authors or work that I feel the frequency, like I can hear it, like these little tiny little crystals, and it's just like this frequency shower. And looking at the cards just a few moments ago, deciding if I was going to do this, I could just feel this shower of frequency. It feels like you're being cleansed, right? Your energy, and I feel this boost. It's the same thing I felt when I read the book, and I hope I can find words to express what I'm trying to say. But this, to me, is a fifth dimensional deck. I feel like it most tarot decks, and I don't mean to slight any of them. I mean, I must say, when I first got the deck and I went through it, and I thought to myself, how can I ever use any other deck? Now, that is an honest first impression that will never forget, because it's called the AlcheMystical tarot. And I feel like what she's presenting, especially in the information, the guidebook about each card, it's a progression. It's almost a alchemist understanding of energy, and the elements. And the titles that are on the bottom of the card might throw some people off. I just want to tell you, do not make that judgment. Don't allow that to knock you away from using the deck. You're going to regret it. I'm telling you right now. And I'm just really addressing not only people who are watching this, because it might not just be people from my channel. It might be the more traditional YouTubers out there. Do not, and I think this might be my first tarot deck review, so this is kind of like out of the 10 years I've been on YouTube. But do not do that, because I see sometimes people say things about decks, and they get like, oh, if the deck doesn't show me right away the way I think, then I'm not going to be able to work with the deck. And I think you're cheating yourself. For me, many decks are like that, have been like that. Like, well, what is that? Why are you talking that way? And we have to trust the artist. I mean, I don't know if I've ever come across a deck that I thought was bad. And that would have to mean that the person had no experience with tarot whatsoever, to be able to do that, right? I think that's what it would require. Somebody have to be completely ignorant of the subject, and they just plop down some pictures and some keywords and said they had a tarot deck. And I think we have to really allow for the channel that the artist and the sometimes the artist is also the creator of the deck, or whether it's the creator and an illustrator separately. We have to really trust on some level that the universe is speaking through them and bringing something to our attention that we need to understand. We don't want the decks to tell us what we already know, or to confirm our knowledge, or our comfortable knowledge, or our comfortable understanding the deck. We don't want every deck to be a soul deck just because it resonates with the way we think. We want it to be a soul deck because it broke us, and opened us up, cracked us open, freed us, set us free. When I was holding the deck just a few moments ago and charging it, that was one of the words I saw, freedom, as a possible word for the deck. It's the only one that's coming back to my mind. And so the way that she builds, now there is a fifth element, and many people have put out decks about it. Now, I'm not going to tell you I actually read the deck or bought the deck that had one in it, because I don't think I own any deck that has the fifth element in it, which she calls spirit. So I mean, I was confused about that too, because I was always thinking, well, isn't the major arcana that really the fifth element? And I think some people might think the same way. Maybe people far more intelligent and experienced about tarot, in terms of being extremely well read about it, might also think that way too. But because this is a deck that I feel like, although it's labeling these things as elements, but it's revealing the elements air, water, earth, and fire as frequency, like as vibration, frequency, like and each suit is building and showing how that element and the frequencies of that element, the downloads, how it builds into its manifested form. Yeah, so it's just really, really great. Okay, boy, 11 minutes of talking. You may not watch. So I'll just sort of take you through the guidebook. No, why don't I say the guidebook? Especially just to explain about spirit, I want to just show you the cards. I think maybe we should just show you the cards. And I guess we should. So this month you might see this is the Afro Goddess Afro Goddess Oracle by Andrea Furtick, and so this is my first time. That's my first Lenormand deck at all, or Lenormand deck, excuse me. And it's been very powerful I've used it for my monthly reading for this week and weekly reading. So hopefully this is, you can see this because I'm kind of sitting down to do this so I can look at the cards up close. And I'm just hoping that this will be very clear. All right, so I'm just gonna flip through the cards and just sort of maybe share any impressions that I might have. So here we have typical, and here this circle I think is the fifth element. So we have the other elements, and then we have that representing the fifth element in the Magician. You see the words resource. These journey for the fool. These keywords in the Major Arcana is not going to throw you off very, very much. The High Priestess is very beautiful. You see right away there is some diversity, and what I like so far is, because I was going to think to myself, I was wondering, was there any age diversity? It's not much age diversity, but we just saw that there's some. And we see other diversity as well. I can't remember just how diverse it is, but we have the Empress is someone older, and that's kind of nice as well. Just that experience. And the word magnetic. So these words here, and like I said, I haven't even read the one on the Major Arcana. I didn't get there yet because I was really, wanting to understand the elements. Once I started with spirit, and then I wanted to go back and see how the other ones were in terms of the guidebook, the Hierophant perspective. Just really beautiful. And there's so much feeling in these cards. Oh, and I forgot to just, okay, it's my first time, show you. I don't have to pick up these cards. I can leave these here. I just want to show you the card. So it's got this sort of antique gilding on the sides, and this is the back of the cardstock, the back of the cards. And I guess it's not reversible, as we can see here. But I think you would not notice it right away. If you were using the deck and you got a reversal, I don't think you would notice it right away. But that's really beautiful. And I love this color scheme with sort of and at the bottom of the card. I don't know what this color, I'm not good with colors, but yeah, it's beautiful. And the cards are pretty sturdy. I own a lot of decks. I have not taken the time. I do look up and see what the card stock might be, but I have not taken the time to put this knowledge to use in terms of comparing decks. I know when I get a rose petal deck, and I love those, although most people probably don't, but I still love them because I love the luxurious feeling of the decks and working with them and holding them, and it makes it feel special, and it just hypes up the for me working with the deck. Totally superficial. Yeah. And the Chariot card, migration. So that might be a word that might throw you off. And I didn't notice it before. I'm a little curious now. Let me just take a little peek. Well, I mean, it makes sense, migration, but let me just read it just to get a sense. And the information is very short, but and another thing that I noticed, that as it was building through the suits, it also seemed a little repetitive, but hold on. You know how that it takes you need to hear, like when you're learning something, when you're breaking through, like I feel like we're breaking through a veil, and I just saw the word revolution from the guides of this deck. It's like when you're breaking through something, you're in such unfamiliar territory that you have to keep hearing things. You have to hear things repeated because you have to assimilate the new patterns from the old ones where you were stuck before the breakthrough, right? So in that way, it is also very healing, or I can't even find the words right now, but so, okay. So the card says, and I think the information here is more about activating energy, activating a frequency, rather than trying to teach you about tarot, right? Or trying to explain the tarot as we know it. It's here to explain the energy medicine of the tarot cards that has always been there, right? It's always been there. It's always been expressed within the cards. But now, when we break through that veil, there's a level of understanding and I don't know what the words, like just like cohesiveness or culmination, I don't know what the word is, that is picked up. So anyway, it says, as any internal and external imbalances are expressed, the experience becomes one that is either consciously altered from within or viewed unconsciously as a controlling external force. This is the dreamer's free will choice. See and adjust the imbalance within, or to believe it is being directed by the outside world. It's a little like out there, but I almost felt like that what I was just saying, that I was picking up on that and I didn't even know it, right? You might say, man, you weren't saying any of that at all. But to me, it felt that way. Like, just look at the other one, the Lovers, and it's called Fusion, which, that looks pretty self-explanatory. I'll just put it back and then we'll move. But again, so it says the Lovers in the union of the electric and magnetic, and that seems to refer back to the the Empress and the Emperor were labeled that. The two halves meet to allow the direction of the inner world to project outwardly. The result of this merge is an experience that shows the whether one is creating from conscious or unconscious awareness. Any imbalance will become visible. Again, it's sort of seems vague, and I know it does to most people who like concrete information. But I feel like it's saying enough in order to keep your mind, like, it's almost like I feel like it creates this space, like, you know how like when something breaks apart, right? And so then there's space between the cracks, and I feel like the information that's there is trying to keep the spaces between the cracks open so that you can fill it in with your own content. It's like she's not trying to cement or put it or glue something together for you where you don't have room for your own soul gifts and awareness to fill in those cracks. And I think that's really beautiful if you can see what I'm trying to say with that imagery. All right, so here with Strength card, Conviction, the Hermit, Analysis, and just beautiful illustrations here. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune, Rhythm, and I really want to read that one too. Justice. This I believe, and this makes sense because it's what I've been saying. And also notice how they're not numbered. So that way you can, interchange in your head the numbers the way they work for you. If you may have come up with a system of your own, and this deck allows you the freedom to do that. But this, I believe, as I was infusing the deck with my energy and calling in my angels and the spirit guides that helped to create this deck, they wrote the word justice as the card, which is the, I'm going to call it the spirit guide of the deck, meaning, and the message is surrender. And that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. We have to surrender the three-dimensional perspective of tarot and let ourselves crack open, and then allow our higher consciousness to fill in between the cracks with the understanding that that the illustrator and the author are doing through word and imagery. All right, so the Hangman selection. And, like I said, even here, if the keywords throw you off, the images do not. Death, Temperance, Revision, the Devil, Absolution. I think that's a really cool. Ooh, can we peek? It's 23 minutes. I know I've watched some really long ones, so I hope you'll hang in with me, or if you feel like it's worth it. But come on, aren't we all curious about that word with the devil? Absolution. I mean, it feels good that it's there. So it says, the illusion has fooled the intellect into believing that it has been held prisoner by external events. When the dreamer exits this state of consciousness, it has potential to return to a unified state. The dreamer can see that this belief was not true, and it was free to choose the entire time. And that's a pretty interesting sort of understanding of absolution. And another thing I want to say that's coming to me as well is that the way some of those cards that I pulled out and then just read them, I also feel like you can't you have to read the guidebook, because that's the important part of the medicine. So you just don't stay stuck to what you know and keep trying to go, oh, what does that mean? What, that. Um, I feel like the way it's written, that like it builds. So these don't even seem like very long paragraphs, but the whole work is the message, everything that's written in the guidebook. It works together, and so that we don't just, and that's an interesting way, because then you just don't pull out one bit of information from an image, but you work to try to connect it. So this deck, I'm sure, is one that I'm going to have to like read the card before and after, or read the entire suit, if I pull a card from a suit, just to make sure I understand where this information is going. And that's a good thing. It's almost like, well, when I used to teach in Catholic school, I taught music, but I was also involved in like the reading program, because I was doing integrated arts with literacy, and then in summer school I taught reading. But at one point, they would have these workshops, and we all had to attend. So it was like whole language or something, and I just feel like it's sort of like that, instead of just working with information in an isolated way. That is really, this book, this tarot is really asking you to integrate all of that information together, to be, looking back here and over there and go, oh yeah, seeing it coming together and making the connections. Okay, the Tower, force. I know I'm going to stop trying to talk. The Star, navigation. The Moon, intuition. And I know it's going to get, because of the time, it's going to start to get dark, but I'm hoping, I just wanted to stand up and make sure that the light is still good there. Although my hands might be blocking some of that light. All right, the Sun, realization, is that cute? Judgment, awakening. And I love how reminds me of dancers, but trying to get out of that, find your way out. And that's like the veil, right? The veil of illusions, all on us like this. So we're trying to pierce through it. It's not that you may have pierced through it and broken free, or you're trying to, but that activity is still an awakening. The world, destination. Okay, so here we have water, the Ace of Water, subconscious. I really feel like the Ace card is telling you more about how you're working with this element, and the process of the transformation of that element. So that we'll be working with the subconscious here, energy. And so then you'll see words like merge for the 2, 3, expression, 4 of water, integration, 5 of water, awareness, the 6 of water, reflection. God, man, it's cast that much of a shadow, and I got like 7 of water. Let me just see if I can move it up. 7 of water, interpretation, and I thought that was really cool, because sometimes we get confused because of how we're interpreting something. We start interpreting something instead of taking it for what it is, or what it's trying to really show us, and then we interpret, we kind of can get ourselves locked in a space. But anyway, I don't want to say, because this could be something totally different. 8 of water, movement, illumination, the 9 of water. And it makes a little sense if you think about it for a minute, but 10 of water, resonance. Okay, the court cards have different names. The Seeker, of water, imagination. Traveler are the knights. Seekers are the pages of water, synchronicity. Mystic are the queens, essence, and that card. Oh my God. It is so beautiful. Just the way the water is flowing in front of her, like, ugh. Did I just gush? Oops. Sorry. Oh my God. Alchemist of water, embodiment. I don't usually gush in front of people. At least not on YouTube. Okay. So here, belief. So the air. And so now this is giving me a sense that we're dealing with our belief systems, and that what we will learn in this tarot will help us to achieve the alchemy of the mind. As here was the alchemy of water. Okay, witness. I love that. Don't you love that? It's like, instead of, because I find myself right now, stuck with a lot of decisions as I'm moving forward on something. And the thing that keeps coming back is to be a witness of a higher perspective. So I think that's so perfect, that it's given us that fifth dimensional approach to a three-dimensional problem. And so it's not remote, but we first have to open up to the fifth dimension in terms of what are the codes and patterns of a 5D reality world, right? 3 of air, fragment. I like that. For the 3 of swords. And just look at how it's reverberating. And like, she's in that triangle is reminding her, like, you're manifesting. Yeah, this might be tough, but you're still manifesting. So, it could be something else that she has written for that. Do we have time? Do you want to? Yes, you do. You want to do whatever I want you to do. Wait, I know you're curious just like I am. Come on. And isn't it interesting how the third eye, so the third eye is usually inside of the triangle. Look at that. And now the third eye is outside of the triangle, watching over her, but she's disconnected from it. Fragment. And I mean, hey, that was challenging. It could be challenging, but if you just start working with what's here and just start describing it, talking about it, it might actually give it to you without having to work for it. So it says the dreamer has given a label to an emotion or feeling. This label is based on the judgment of feeling using the lower mind. This forms a distorted belief, which is not true. Using this belief, the dreamer separates itself from its own truth based on a false idea. Oh, come on, people. That is an incredible... That has been one of the cards is like, always, I mean, it's, you kind of understand it, of course, but it's like, you always think to yourself, there's more to this than that, right? And that's just a perfect explanation. Hold on one moment. I want to see if I can give it some more light by drawing the curtains open. Okay, hopefully that's better with the light. Because it's about almost 4 o'clock, and so in New York, and you know what happens. So the 4 of air, imprint, like, letting it just sitting with it, imprint is what I'm thinking of. After you've, had this sort of breaking open, now just sort of let that imprint. That's the feeling I get about it. You see that the third eye is back in that space. Now, what's interesting here, this I thought was cool for the 5 of shield, 5 of air, shield. You know, isn't that awesome? And look at the energy around his head. I don't know if that's going to come across. It's going to focus. I'm sure you can see it a little bit. Yep, there it is. And then, of course, the triangle with the third eye is on his chest. And, sorry, video publishing time. I have to have reminders to make sure I don't forget to publish the daily card messages that I write on my channel. You can find them on YouTube and on my Facebook page as well. And I also do angel readings, obviously the Angel School, weekly on my channel, and some other types of readings. Okay, whoops, 6 of air, recall. I like that. Okay, it's almost like a recall of information. That sort of, recalling your soul back after you needed to shield in that 5 of air experience. Okay, 7 of air, reaction. Very different from the thief, but it also looks like she's holding the lamp there. And what I find is interesting, because you know what, I just realized that by not putting the line there, by putting the eye there, the eye is usually, there's a line, I think, for the air sign. So, but it's interesting how they put the eye there in some cases. Now, I'm wondering, is this a reaction to what she recalled, right? The awareness that was gained, and now she's hiding, and in that way, it's like a new way, a new form of self-denial, deception. It's like you're trying to get the veil, like you're trying to put the veil back. Repetition, because that's how we get in traps, right? Because patterns that are not healthy for us. That's just my little. Okay, synthesis, the 9 of air. It's really beautiful. And it's very, and you know what, for those who's like, well, what the hell? But it's very dreamlike, because she's in the clouds, and it looks like this mountain cliff is, like she's not in the world, and she's just up in the clouds, and she's having this nightmare where she's putting herself through this situation where she's having to really struggle to hang on and to find direction, and at the same time, God, it was a thought that came to me about this. This dream this scary dream is helping her to work through the information, synthesize the information that from the experience that probably was provoked this dream in her waking life. The daydream, like the literal, because aren't we all really dreaming? The Matrix. Okay, the 10 of air, release. Love that for this card, and just seeing that separating from those versions of herself previously to do that. The seeker of air. The more I've started to turn through it, I'm starting to look at the cards more intuitively. Starting to activate. So it's not a deck that is just, going to be all mental on you about this alchemy. If you use your intuition, it will merge with that, like it's almost like the alchemical aspects of the self that the tarot is representing will surface as intuition, and giving you the ability to read and understand. Okay, so Traveler of Air. I just want to go back because these are really great. The court cards seem to almost show the stages of the alchemical process of the element that we work through. So thought, judgment, the question, the truth. Like that's what we're after, right? In this suit. Consciousness. So the element of fire seems to be focused on consciousness. And when you see that versus, you know, just spirit, but you'll see that there's a difference between this and the spirit element, and it kind of makes sense. But consciousness, so working with intention, being conscious, being consciously aware, right, of what opportunities are there that are coming to the mind, imagination, and then in order to be able to do anything with that, those ideas, we have to start focusing in on intention. That intention helps us to ground that idea, to help us to forge a vision of that idea that causes now involvement to start really building or working with. I mean, I'm just going with the keywords here, but observation for the 5 of fire, you'd be like, what the hell? But I remember looking at this and just thinking, look at how intricate I don't know what this is behind him, but if it's a ledge, like on a bridge, and it has all like these things or whatever it is, it's complicated. The pattern is complicated. And how sometimes you see something that's really complicated and complex, and then you have to study it for a while. You just need to observe in order to see what it's really trying to tell you. You might not see a path, but if you observe it, the path will be revealed, no matter how challenging it is. Discernment. You say 6 of fire, discernment. I remember thinking the ego and having that higher perspective, and that the triangle elemental symbol is around the full moon. So it's about this feeling of victory that we equate this card with, is about finally achieving the manifestation of the vision. Doesn't mean the manifestation of the on the physical plane, but that you have captured what it is. You fully captured it, and through discernment, right? So how they give you like, oh, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And then all of a sudden it's like a bunch of things click, and then but now you still got to do the building of that. 7 of fire, perception. I like this, how now once you get there, then you got to look ahead, and then when you look ahead, you're like, oh crap, look at all that. Like, how am I going to get from there to there? Or, wow, that's going to be a long journey, and that's how we pick your battles, right? You got to break things down into small digestible pieces so that you're able to manage them. Here, focus. So again, consciousness. This is how teaching us the alchemy of consciousness. So I almost feel like you could just use each suit separately, really, literally for this kind of work. Like, where's my consciousness right now? Pick a card. What state is my consciousness in? Or what? Because I feel like this card doesn't say, well, what is the state? It could do that, but it might be more to ask the cards, what do I need to adapt in my state of consciousness to help my business or my relationship or this to unfold? Again, this is just literally my first impressions, because I haven't had these thoughts at all, but stuff is just now steamrolling. 9 of fire, expansion. So very different, but just looking at her body language, it's similar to the traditional symbolism, or it's not exactly at all, but it relates, right? And then you're in this place where she's feeling sort of vulnerable, but again, that's when consciousness is able to have expansion. So situation provokes it. Identifier, manifestation, not the burden. But notice the rose has thorns, and those are burdens, because you have this beautiful thing in your hand, but those thorns, are burdens. But the card is titled Manifestation, and so I feel like it's like in terms of consciousness, well, you gotta make your decision here. What do you the rose is beautiful. You could focus on, oh, those pesky thorns, ooh, or you could focus on just and embrace the entire rose essence and its beauty and its structure, its composition, and whatever you get out of that, that is what you're manifesting. Your consciousness is manifesting what you choose to see. Seeker of Fire, initiation. I can tell that when I get ready to use this for the channel, it's going to be, really amazing, and especially for myself. Seeker of Fire, which I'm getting to use it this month for myself. So, Seeker of Fire, initiation. Okay. Traveler Fire, attunement. So again, I feel like the quartz are showing us the progress. It's almost like the butterfly stages of the butterfly, like those 4 stages, and the court cards kind of show the metamorphosis or the process, the process that we that we must achieve individually, right? So that works in great with the court card role, is that it's showing the stages of development of maturity for this. And but by the way she did it so brilliantly, it just like makes these things click. I always say, I'm like, well, I shouldn't put myself down, but I feel like a lot of other people always know like this grand information and these specific like information, well read on things. But for me, I click with things like, like out of the box without really knowing. Sometimes I just will, and if something's really good, it just will click. The Mystic of Fire, presence, prominence. But even if it's challenging, it will click. I just don't believe it will beforehand, and that's my hang up. Okay, Earth. Got to move along, over in 47 minutes. But you said you're going to stay with me, right? Okay. Ace of Earth, experience. So this means that the physical world is all about experience, and that's where our focus should really be. Isn't that brilliant for the element of Earth? 2 of Earth, choice. I'm going to try to go through these. Process for the 3 of Earth. That makes a lot of sense. 4 of Earth, practice. So instead of that whole thing about hoarding money or it could mean in another way, to just ground yourself, but practice, that we can build this ability we like through practice. Now I know that we usually associate that with the 8, but I think it's interesting, and the book probably is going to tell you something really interesting. Are you curious? Can I hear you? Come on, tell me. Are you curious? Yes, I think I hear yes. Okay, back. And let's just take a peek. So, as the blend of previous choices begins to take hold, see, that's referring back to the 2. The dreamer beings, I think she means the dreamer begins to see itself outside of the physical body. This moment is the building block of the experience. As this continues, the dreamer will begin to see pieces of itself in the physical world. Wow. Okay. Again, it's like breakthrough, piece, space between the cracks. You got to give yourself a chance to allow your inner essence to fill it in. best way to describe it, the experience, or I think the approach. 5 of Earth, modification. Sorry. I may need to switch these now, as there may be more light over there. I don't know. I hope I'm not making a mistake by doing that. Let me just stand up and see. No, it's closer. Well, I'll just do it this way and put it on top and give it a little chance to sit. So 6 of Earth, balance. 7 of Earth, dynamic. I mean, that looks beautiful, and you can really relate to that symbol as well as you could with that one as well. And this, I felt like I thought this is great for the Earth, because I thought it was really talking about being in balance with the Earth itself, the rhythms and the flow, right? The 8 of Earth, perseverance. Now look at this. Notice this, because now notice here. So then over here, it's completion. So we watch this grow, and then culmination is a 10 of Earth. You know, it could be more about, who knows what she's going to mean for that to be. But okay, the Seeker of Earth, aim. Okay, so strategy for the traveler. Mystic is evolution. And then victory for the alchemist, the King of Earth. Okay, this is what's so unique and different. This is the suit of spirit. And it's about downloads. That's what she's talking about. Here's what she's talking about. The downloads that come from source. I mean, that's my feeling. From the higher realms. Let me just read. Oopla, I hit the phone. So I'm just going to read the little paragraphs here on Element of Spirit. It's titled Download. The element of spirit represents the higher self of the dreamer. So, all right. So this suit is representing the higher self. This is the information received that leads the dreamer into life lessons, understanding natural gifts, and serves as a life compass. The higher self guides the dreamer by presenting experiences which are meant to be unpacked and witnessed on the journey towards reaching higher truths, soul wisdom, and the expansion of consciousness. This part of the dreamer is unique. It can only be observed by the dreamer itself, based on individual life experiences, perspectives, and intuitive design. So the ace, it says, a gift of guidance and meaning is delivered to the dreamer. This information is received as a feeling or happening that cannot be explained, but must be felt and observed to understand. The dreamer begins to dissect and unpack the meaning of this gift. You know, I keep sort of hearing this suit might be really on psychic development. That's just something, but I could be wrong. Okay, 2 of Spirit, the codes, right? And the 3 of Spirit is the arrangement of that, the downloads, the codes. There's an arrangement of them, just like people who write codes, that arrangement creates something. And then there's this assimilation of that for us when we finally assimilate the arrangement of those codes. The 5 of Spirit, vibration. Very interesting. And that it's on 5 where change can happen, because what our vibration is made up of is what, and playing with vibration is what allows us to really manifest what we desire. Or attracts to us what we desire, because we don't even have to do anything. We just have to be aware of what we're vibrating with or towards. 6 of Spirit, reception. Seems like receiving that energy, receiving that vibration. And then 7 of Spirit is a frequency. That's like the signal now that's being of that vibration. And I'm just rambling from what is coming through my head. The 8 of Spirit, the construct. Okay, so frequency and what has been constructed, the translation, the construct, not constructed, the construct. 9 of Spirit, translation. 10 of Spirit, crystallization. Then here's how it works, the stages: seeker, the message; the traveler, the understanding; the mystic, retention; and alchemist of the spirit, clarity. Okay, really, really, really profound. I want to read just one thing to see how she defines the major arcana, because I've always seen the major arcana as a spirit, but I'm just curious how she sees it. Journey of a dreamer. The journey begins as a dreamer takes a step into changing reality. I gotta make sure you guys can see. This may commence after a period of breakdown, which is designed to allow the dreamer to break through the ego or personality. The dreamer has been used to constructing its own consciousness due to false beliefs, subconscious programming, and being taught that the eternal world is the cause of conflict, pain, and suffering. The journey is designed by the higher aspects of the dreamer to allow the dreamer to expand outwardly using the 5 elements of life. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera. As the journey unfolds, the dreamer learns to alter these elements within to expand its own conscious state. The dreamer will access its own creative power and output to manipulate reality and experience the world without limitations. So, I'm going to write her and ask her what she thinks about this. Her thoughts about the difference between the major arcana and her 5th element, spirit. I'm just really curious. I mean, definitely the major arcana is definitely archetypes. So, hey, this is just the idea that's coming to me. But, she said that the element of spirit is our higher self, right? And so the major arcana for me might just be the deities, of the celestial heavens. And yes, there is at that vibration a very similar pattern between our I am presence, higher self, and that of the deities or the celestial beings or celestial bodies of the universe. There is a very, very profound commonality there. So, yeah, that might be the answer. We'll see what she says. I want to dive into this deck more, and I want to do it with you. And I'm really curious about your feedback. If something is really disturbing about how this kind of went in terms of you being able to see, just let me know, so that when I go through it again, I will be aware of that, so that maybe you can see better. But maybe the time of the day would have been better to do it earlier. But I just want to go through each suit separately in a video with this deck, because I really want to dive into it. I really want to work with it. And I think it'll help me to really get out of this deck everything that I've been perceiving about it and that's been flowing through me intuitively. So thank you, and look forward to reading your comments. And if there's something that you want me to talk about or to explore as I do this with this deck, leave me, those questions in the comment, so that I can explore them in the next videos. All right. Have a good week. Angel blessings.